Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to bring you the sit-down interview I managed to get with Holly Longdale and John Hight. This is one of the first times you've seen these guys on camera talking like this. It was definitely the big exclusive interview that we managed to score at Blizzard, as these are the guys in charge. They are very, very high up in the company, right below the director, and they are in charge of all the directions that Warcraft is going in over the next 10 years. So enjoy it. Remember, this was recorded during the Dragonflight pre-patch. It actually came out while I was on campus. It is before the game came out, but you'll get a lot of ideas about where Warcraft is going in the future. I look forward to that day when my wife can just take
Denny's.
over. It's going to be good. I can just game.
Not if you give complete control. Don't give power of attorney.
I had a guy...
Your computer's gone.
I had a guy contact me last week to ask for advice, and his wife, who is a lawyer, has given him a gaming contract like that he has to sign because she wants a fourth child. And she's the breadwinner, and he has to stay at home, so he's allowed 2 hours of gaming per 2 weeks under contract. And if he doesn't get it, she has to pay a fine of $200 from an account that she's set up for it. She's a financial lawyer. And he was like, is this a good deal? I was like, what am I reading?
What is happening right now?
It was great. He sent me a copy of the documentation and everything. And I was like, is this real? Is this happening? And he went, yeah, it's very real. Because they make, I have to do all the nappies and the diapers and stuff. So this is the deal. And that was a good amount of gaming for him. 2 hours every 2 weeks. And he had to pre-book it. That was part of it. He had to book a week in advance for his 2 hours.
That would never work for me.
No, I called my wife and I went, is it okay if we're gaming tonight? And she went, yeah. And I was like, that's what it should be like.
You're right. Yeah.
That's the real world. And he got back. He signed it though. He got some modifications, but he signed that deal. That was their relationship. That's how they work it. Felt very unhealthy to me. I tried my best. That's all I can say.
My wife and I first started dating. She comes from mortgage banking, so didn't really play games. We played arcade games together, but I said, okay, a couple of dates and everything's going well, and you feel like, okay, I got to be truthful here.
I'm a gamer.
It's that date.
I've got to tell you a secret.
Yeah, I play games. She goes, oh yeah, me too. I love Centipede and play Miss Pac-Man. I said, yeah, I'll play those with you, but I play.
That sounds like modern day. I play Roblox and things, and you're like, yeah. I mean, that's great. But have you heard? Let's get the real stuff on.
So how much do you game? I said, yeah, probably a couple hours
a day.
So from like being a kid, have you gamed like since gaming was a thing?
When the Atari 2600 first came out, I begged and pleaded with my parents to get it for me for Christmas, and it was like I think it was like $175. That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
Which
I think for inflation it equates to about $500 for the Atari.
Maybe even more.
Yeah, it was
so
crazy.
It was more than they had planned to spend on me for Christmas.
Yeah.
So just plead, and I remember, it was the only gift I got under the tree. It was like, this is fantastic. And then I put in Duck Hunt. I'm like, okay, I need a cartridge.
I need a gun.
Yeah.
I need everything because we could do this. Was that like the same for you?
My first game experience was over Telex. It was a text adventure game.
Yeah, check door.
Yeah.
Check round side of house. Yeah, I've played them.
Yeah, and then it was arcade games. And my mother was playing Doom. Just random.
That's
she
a
had
cool
a PC.
mother.
Well, my brother is a bit of a nerd. And then she had...
Unlike his sister.
And then she was playing Leisure Suit Larry. My brother gave her Leisure Suit Larry. And then she started playing it, and that became a conversation. We were always focused on
Did she walk in at
PC.
an appropriate time?
No, she thought it was hilarious.
Oh.
She ended up playing it.
I've never touched Leisure Suit Larry because it did look like porn. Like when I go to the game store, it just looked like smut.
Yeah, the original one in the 90s, I guess, it was pixels. It was,
The writing was pretty crude.
From the guy who wrote for Red Alert too.
Funny, yeah.
No, I didn't write it.
Judging from afar on Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh, God.
I know what I'm saying.
And then I met MMOs. That was it.
First one?
Ultima Online.
Was it Ultima?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, your history with EverQuest is huge.
Yeah.
Like the old school style.
Yeah, that was when I started really geeking out about what is a social world online? Why are we, why am I completely obsessed with my guild forum and the politics and managing people and, guild points spent on loot and the drama of who isn't an officer and who's up next for the big piece of loot and all, just determining the psychology of it. Why are we so bonded? And it's never stopped.
I couldn't do.
God, you're so noble. I mean, for me, Ultima Online, and my favorite experience in a game was Christmas time with a buddy of mine, and we were playing, in my office, so we could both, be on our own computers and yucking it up, and we'd roll throwaway bards, which could persuade NPCs. So I'd hide in the bushes, persuade Santa or the reindeer to get aggro on people as they're coming into town with all their stuff from Minok. There's their pony with all their stuff. So Santa would get crazy mad at him, kill him. The guards would show up, kill me for persuading Santa, and then my buddy would come in to get all the loot. We made so much stuff. We had so much fun. I must have rolled like 15 characters.
I'm a nice person.
Rob ruining everybody's day.
Which, by the way, you can't do that in WoW. We'll ban you. So.
I know.
FYI.
That reminds me of people leaving their pet in like the older zones for the young people to kill. Like sneak the tiger in, get them killed, and take it off. In fact, do you remember when people could mind control people in Silithus and lose all their rep?
Yeah.
By attacking the NPCs. That was a bad time for World of Warcraft.
Yeah. I didn't do that. I was.
But you thought about it.
No, I didn't. I'd become a more, sophisticated player. I actually went to EverQuest next.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I did a druid. I remember camping. Was it Lockmaw for his trousers?
Yep. Yeah.
For like
Lockjaw.
Yeah.
I had a good moment with that in the level 60 race to world first in Vegas. We watched that for 20 minutes with one guy farming for that thing to get the drop, and we literally cheered throughout this entire casino that we had, because they'd hired a full casino floor, and then when it happened, we were like, "Way!" There's stupid moments that happen. The classic launch was just unreal, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the crazy. We got a call from Blizzard, and I don't know if it came from you or somebody, because I was hosting the show, so they'd asked me to open it, and as I'm maybe 20 seconds from being brought in, I messaged them. Blizzard have been on the phone. We might not be able to get in for the next 4 hours. Deal with it. 10, 9, 8. That's what happened to me. Sat on the couch. I was like, okay, so here we go. But it worked, surprisingly, besides the queues.
Oh, great. I was a player then, so I would have been I was in the queue. I wasn't working yet. Yeah.
We got in big trouble for trying to keep people online. People walking around the facility, locking everybody in and moving their character. It was in the background of the shots. Yeah, because people go into the bathroom and things like that, or they'd gone to an hour's sleep. They were sleeping on the floor in the studio to make sure they didn't get logged out, and people were moving around. And
they're still doing it.
Yeah, because rats happen the same, right? I mean, it's not been too bad.
It's not the same. Yeah, it's more popular than we expected, though.
Really? Mm-hmm. Even after the success of TBC? I mean, Classic seems to have been a runaway success. Like the meme of it being, you think you want it, but you don't.
Yeah.
And now it's like...
Oh, we want it.
We thought you didn't, but you did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I mean, how was that decision come to at the time? Like, what made the change there with that?
That we actually made Classic?
Yeah, that you were like, okay, they keep asking, we're going to do it.
Honestly, yeah, we didn't think it was going to be financially even necessarily a great decision as much as it was... Our fans are really asking for this. Some of our most devoted fans are asking for this. And it really was. When we say it was a love letter, it was a love letter. We justified it in the, hey, we do this. It's going to make our fans super happy. And, we're going to learn a lot in the process. But, I mean, come on. How many games have gone back and recreated that? And I did that on God of War, right?
Yep.
God of War 1 and 2 and up-resed them. But... the game's still live, it's like you can still play those areas in modern. So going back and recreating that original experience, I don't think that's ever been done before. I mean,
RuneScape's tried, old school RuneScape but they had to accept a lot of changes.
That's why I'm here with doing our EverQuest Classic servers. Yeah. This WoW is a whole different
animal.
Yeah.
What challenges did you meet then that you weren't expecting, I guess?
With Classic?
Yeah, for sure.
Numbers. Just vast,
just the sheer amount of people playing
numbers. Yeah, and players never do what you expect them to, like ever.
That's like every MMO lesson ever, right? It's like ants, they just crawl across the planet.
But that's one of the beauties of it is, we're re-exploring and relearning, Classic. Even as much time and effort is spent in the archaeology of, does it match what the original game was like? But when players interact with it now, the skill that they have, the knowledge, that some of them have done it before, all these like really interesting little edge cases and stuff that they find, and it's a day-to-day wow, look what they figured out. It's great.
They leveled up faster than we
thought
they
they
would.
How quickly was the Wrath raid clear this time? So I remember Wrath's launch. I was there, and
Under 9 hours.
yeah, it was crazy. Because
Yeah.
I remember there was a whole thing with 25th November, and they cleared it in a day.
Oh no, it was under
the
first
original
level 80. Oh, the
Yeah,
original.
The original
yeah.
one was
The
still
first
done in
max
about a
level
day.
was 9 hours.
Yeah.
Wow. And they were all just wearing previous raid gear. Like, we were really worried about the raiding.
Yeah.
Like, uh-oh. What's happened?
Yeah.
They made it like super easy mode or something. It actually was almost like scary to see what we were going to get into there. But the numbers are still... I'm curious what you're going to do next. Because Cataclysm seems to be the point where they're like... And you have all these players. I know you can't give me the answer, but I am curious as what
Well,
what
we're
your decision will
asking.
be.
So we sent out a survey to players. We want to know, what didn't players like about Cataclysm? What did they like about Cataclysm? We want to, I think we all react. We listen to the community, always have. Part of that too is, what are we listening to and who are we listening to? So we wanted to really reach out and see, what do you think? And ask, some of the tougher questions, like what didn't you like? What didn't work? What are they looking for? What did they really love about Cataclysm? So that, if we decide to go that way, and if we see, the responses we get, and we'll go from not just a survey, we're going to reach out to the community at large, given that, sentiment seems like there's just some things we need to fix that weren't, trending, in the feedback we get as popular. Let's look at it. I mean, the landscapes are beautiful. A lot of the content is fantastic. So we want to make sure we don't just sell it short. But also, what else could we do? Like, there's been a lot of conversations. Even all of this has been a process, right? So since Classic launched, were we going to do BCC? We didn't know. It was based on...
Did you expect it to just be like, everyone's going to play it for like a month? Yeah. Was that your expectation?
Kind of. I mean, I remember our original estimates, and it was kind of funny because we totally underestimated the number of realms we were going to have. And I can remember, arguing with one of our regions, it was like very conservative and like, we're only going to need this. And we'd flown out there and we're like, no, we think based on our estimates in North America, you're probably going to want to have more than that within, and, God bless the Classic team, but like literally within weeks, they had to spin up 10 times our estimate.
Yeah. Almost like the original WoW.
To handle it.
Yeah.
It's almost like you recreate that back-end experience.
Except we had the technology this time.
Then it was like, scrapping around
the hardware. What do we do? I don't know. Go up to fries.
literally belt strapping things together. Yeah. Plug it in. Go.
Yeah.
It's been... I'm curious what you guys have learned from that, because obviously we're getting to Dragonflight in a second, but watching those players go back and be like, I still prefer this. So there's obviously a total crossover, cross-pollination between both games. But there's people who's like, I miss this so much. And that isn't just nostalgia, because that wore off on me. I played Classic for about a month, but I played the original from the beginning. So I was like, once with the nostalgia wore off, I got to farming Molten Core. I was like, I have already done this for like 2 years. I can't do it again. But I loved my time, and I'm going to move on. And I want the new things. That's what I prefer. But what did you guys learn from what the players are doing in Classic that's now coming into the retail game? Like, you were like, yeah, we should bring that into the retail.
You're seeing it, yeah. I mean, that's the exciting thing is Classic brought back these conversations about talent trees, like revamping talents. How much do you love spending your points and experimenting with your class? Or if that was what your memory is, that's my memory of Classic or of Vanilla. And so the team recognized that. They're always taking the pulse too. It's like players really love that. And professions. I think the teams really wanted for a long time to be able to focus on professions as well. Mm-hmm. But even how we are looking at content, right? So more, in Vanilla or Classic, there's the exploration factor. It felt less guided. And the team's taken that to heart too. And you'll see elements of that in Dragonflight as well. It's a really wonderful exploration about, where are we now and where are we going to go in the future, and kind of taking stock and listening to the community. And it's pretty incredible to see it coming through in Dragonflight.
Yeah, I think this social interaction,
I
in
miss
Classic,
that so much.
You had to, just to get through stuff, you had to make friends, and we were all in this together. I played in the beta, and I played, WoW. I played for 18 years, so my character is old enough to vote now.
Don't make me feel as
Oh,
old.
no.
I keep thinking that we played Wrath like 3 years ago. I played it like a few years ago. It's fine. It's like, dude, that was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's
But, you know,
crazy.
like I think in professions, you know, it certainly informed that. It's like, hey, if I'm going to invest the time to create this profession, I want to be known as that person on my realm, or I want to be known within my guild. And I think that the changes that we're making in professions, you know, giving really cool items there, things that take investment in time for you to be able to build, but now they're going to have, you know, value to, you know, players on your realm. And having a work order system that allows you to kind of make to order, you know, I know Preach wants this, I'm going to start building it for him.
When I was talking to Ian before and I tested the profession system, it was like, my initial thoughts was, this is just like a fresh coat of paint. I was like, yeah, it's new, there's some extra knobs and dials. And I was like, that's not what this is for. That's cool, but this is to tempt people to try it, because what it looks like to me is this is social engineering almost. Because now you're making the individual important. Like, John is the boots guy. Holly is the gloves lady. You know, that's what this is about putting the names back to your...
Yeah.
Because there's definitely that feel is that you go into a dungeon, it's like, you're not John and Holly, you're Rogue, you're Tank. And, like, do the stuff that makes me succeed, NPC people. And don't talk to me, because you're probably going to be toxic. Like, you know, that kind of thought process. Yeah, that's how it feels.
Ultima Online. I'm better now.
Like, I've got a judgmental point of view now. I can't get rid of. I've got this image. But that's it. It's so important. It's been lost for a while, right? It really has. I mean, it's not in Classic. It's the individual is so much more important.
It's also, you know, when we get to the concept of what we do, you know, in a world of a living Azeroth, right? You want, what's it like to have a role and live in Azeroth? There's, you know, artisans and the economy and, you know, bringing your craft and skill into the world, into the game itself. And we want to start leaning into that. How do we make Azeroth feel more alive and more like a place you get to live as a character? And be a bit more broad with the content we do create going forward.
For sure. It's an admirable thing. Like, considering you both your histories, which is just ridiculous. Like, looking at your resumes is crazy.
You're saying I'm old. I got it.
Yeah.
I'm old too. Like, we're all boomers around this table, let's be honest.
But I'm completely incapable of doing anything else but games. So
I don't do much other than sit in front of a camera. It works well. We do well at what we do. What's the biggest change you've seen in players? Because I talk about, like, what idyllic MMOs, you know, what would if I was creating an MMO, what it looked like, and I focus so much on the people, because I can't think of an MMO being anywhere what I would consider great without the people you play with. I think about my guild more than what's this feature, what's this content. But the growing loud voice that I've seen across many MMOs now, we're talking to so many MMO companies, a lot of players who just want the solo experience. And their biggest fear is actually other people, which blows my mind, because I was like, I love the people so much, even the bad ones, because that's a moment, you know. I think about those moments with the bad people. And what's the biggest change you've seen in gamers in general?
I think you've actually identified one of the challenges that we face with World of Warcraft is we know that a lot of players just want to come in, have some fun, know that, you know, there's things for them to do, and not have the pressure of having to interact with other people.
Mm-hmm.
But then they want to, you know, and then when they have that chance encounter, you know, where someone happens to be farming the same thing and you just got killed 3 times and, you know, okay, let's join in a group together. We did it. We killed it together. Awesome. That's cool. Or meeting, you know, that set of friends that you start running dungeons with, or you start doing a raid with, and enjoying some of that group content that we've created. Those are some of the best moments in the game.
Yep.
Like, I remember it was Christmas a few years back when we had the hive mind, you know, mount. It was this crazy set of things that you had to do to unlock it. And I did this with a completely random set of people, you know, 4 people I didn't even know. We went through all of it. I had all the monocles. We got this thing and we were all like high-fiving each other. And I got to put them on my friends list. And I actually kept in contact with the one for a couple months after that.
Yeah.
But those moments are so cool. And I think, you know, we try to have experiences like that, you know, where you no pressure, you can play by yourself if you want to. And I think there's something actually kind of comforting knowing that while I'm wandering around doing my solo thing, you know, working on one of my alts or whatever, that there's thousands of other people around there, you know, and I can see them doing their thing. And I think that's a really fun part of the game. It reminds me that I'm not just doing this all by myself.
No, you're a living, breathing world, right? It's
Yeah.
It's hard when you segment people off like the WoD issue where everyone was locked in their garrisons and stuff. It's like, where is everybody?
But it's a camaraderie thing too, right? How many times have you been out in public and somebody, I don't know if you were, any logo wear, but like if they'll see, the Warcraft shirt or whatever, and like, you play WoW?
Yeah.
You play WoW?
It happens to me at TSA.
Yeah.
In the airport.
Yeah.
Not being a Warcraft player, but they watched the YouTube channel. They're like, where are you going? And I was like, I'm going to Blizzard. They went, oh. It's like, does anybody know? I was like, no. It's like, okay. Well, nice to see you preach. Go
Security
through it.
alert.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's very creepy.
Yeah.
It's like, especially the
That is
TSA
fine.
people, because a few times towards the US, I've been stopped for quite a long time, like 2 hours at one point. I was like, oh no.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, but were you behind it?
No.
I mean, how malicious are you, John?
On
On
behalf
behalf
of
of
all
what?
of this,
On behalf of the USA.
Yeah.
apologize for your
Speak for the
lengthy
United
delay.
States.
He is a big deal.
Yeah, I can tell.
There are no TSA agents in World of Warcraft. Yeah. Although they can play. We're
there's
happy to have them
guards.
as
There's
Now that
definitely
you've said
guys.
it out loud, it could be a thing.
Every Zeppelin rider is going to be TSA now, checking your inventory. What are you carrying?
I did want to say, when we're talking about what we feel about gamers now, I feel I have this incredible opportunity with this team, being new. But the conversation about where are we going to go? 5 years, how are we going to be better? Not just next year, 3 years, 10 years, another 18. And looking at having these conversations about what does it mean to escape into Azeroth and really live that life and how do we secure what we can find as a safe space where there's activities you can do solo that contribute to the world. It may not be a quest line. It could be, evergreen activities, and, professions is sort of, a step toward that.
Yep.
And the team's very committed to this idea of, like I said before, what does it mean for Azeroth to feel alive, day to day, week to week, and ongoing, and how do we evolve that? And to me, I geek out, we all geek out about all this stuff about how do we evolve? We are committed to WoW evolving and delivering more for players and being mindful of the community. So when you're talking about how gamers have changed, we have people like you, people we are a living, breathing community, not just in Azeroth, but outside it as well. And really, advancing our thinking about what does it mean for all of us as a community around World of Warcraft. So we're thinking really big, and then also, what's going to bring players along, week to week, month to month, and make sure that, we're serving our community who want to live there.
Well, that's exactly what Ian said, something similar, because every voice heard is on the the tenants outside at the Ark. It's like it's described Dragonflight as we listened to the people. Like, for years, me and Ian have interviewed each other a lot of times. We're usually at loggerheads. We're usually like, no, Ian. He's like, yes, Mike, it's going to be this way. It's like, you're wrong. And then we're now getting to Dragonflight, which is seemingly to me, who's played it, I've looked at it, obviously it's not out yet, but checked everything out. And this is the first thing I noticed is like, this is an entire philosophical shift internally. Like, this is a real big change. And Ian described it as the start of the third era, he believes. Where, we're dropping this mandatory content chore list. We're a bit more comfortable with the fact that maybe you don't log in for a few days. That's okay. Now, I'm kind of curious, have you guys had influence on that? Is that something you came, because when you joined as more of an overseer of all of WoW from Classic, it's like, this is something we should really be doing because people have been crying out for this for a long time. Why aren't we doing that? Or is that something that came from internally from the developers themselves?
The team and the community. It's... I'm sure, we could tell you, spend hours talking about how passionate and the empathy on this team and how much they care about, looking for feedback in the community everywhere, even their own families. And, we have families now that play together too. There's just the depth and breadth of what is important to this team is driving in this direction. And the fact that we're all going in the same direction means that what we're hearing is fairly consistent, and that, we have we want to do more and we want to be better. And every step of the way, doesn't matter what we do. The question is always, how could that have been better? How can we be better? And it's an ongoing conversation. So I don't think it was one person. It just sort of evolved. It had this momentum, first from the community and then from the team. And now you're seeing it, in Dragonflight.
I was surprised. I do think, we have this great responsibility. I mean, we're the caretakers of something beyond a single game. It's lasted 18 years. We hope it lasts 18 more. So many people, this is a part of their childhood. This is a part of their youth. This is a part of their friendships. and we have that responsibility. And I think, at least for me, I think, me stepping in as a new executive producer, Ian stepping in as a new game director, and we literally did that, at the same time.
Yep.
You don't want to make mistakes. You assume that, the decisions that were made before are smart ones. We got to do our best to sustain that. And then eventually feeling the liberty to, we can make some of our own shots here. We can try some things out. Yes, we're going to make some mistakes and hopefully learn from that, but nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Right?
No,
it reminds me a lot of your TBC design, which is you kind of threw everything at the wall. Some things sticked, some things didn't.
Yeah.
But the things that sticked were so good. They're risky, but so good. And this is a risk. I from when I look at it, it's like, this is a good risk where I'm here for a week seeing you guys. It's wonderful.
That's good.
I'm not thinking about missing out on my more dailies. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like I'm letting somebody down. I'm missing out on some resource or currency or something like that. And I think I hope it's something people really embrace, is like, choose where you want to go.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see you guys actually following through with that, because it's been definitely something we've debated many times over the last few years to get us there. But like you just said, you came in, a lot of changes. The last 4 years have been really tumultuous for you guys. We've had COVID, and walking around yesterday, wonderful access to see everything and see how it works, but desolate. Very strange, an eerie feeling, because everything is designed for so much fun. Today's an anomaly, and I know that. I've been told that many times by the comms team. They're like, it's not like this. We've not set this up. These aren't paid actors to give it some life. But we did the full tour yesterday. Everything you guys have set up for all the staff is so fun. Like, they're very creative in their places. Seeing the team, the staff just playing volleyball at lunch, that's exactly why we're here. No one sees that, right? Yeah. That's what they don't know happens. Yeah. But obviously then the allegations come out, huge shake up at the top. And you guys are the ones who steered that ship, as far as I know. So we need to know, how did you do that? You came into a really rough patch, and then you seemingly have got here. So,
well, I mean, as you pointed out, I mean, who could have predicted the last couple of years? I mean, just having COVID and having to work from home, and we literally mobilized like within a couple of days. It's like, okay, everyone, there's a lockdown happening. You need to go home to be safe, and we're going to make sure you have equipment. And then we literally went through a cycle of getting everyone machines, connecting up through Zoom. I mean, up until that point, nobody wanted a camera on their desk.
Yep.
I mean, we weren't like not exactly photogenic.
I'm off camera as much as possible. I really am.
But, learning to adapt with all that. And then, the fear that accompanied that, and, what's going to happen, how long is this going to be? I remember us even like, okay, we'll be back in August. And even my wife said, you guys aren't going to be back in August. And I'm like, oh, that's so pessimistic.
Yeah, it's just a silly cold.
It turned out in August, 2 years later, I finally, came back to the office. But that alone was a big deal, to deal with. And certainly, the issues that we faced as a company and even as our team felt very strongly about, hey, we're going to send our message out to our players. We want them to know where we stand and what we want to be, as a team. And, I'm really proud of how much nobody on the team got defensive. Nobody said, oh, but this, that, or the other. And said, no, okay, this is a wake-up call for us. This is something that we have to ingrain in our culture and reinforce. And we've grown as a team, and as new players come onto our team, we want to make sure that they are safe, that they understand what our values are, and that, we want our game to be inclusive and diverse. Because after all, our audience it's around the globe. I'm going to throw one thing at you, because I also oversee the Warcraft franchise.
Yes.
In our 28-year history, we've accumulated 250 million players in Warcraft. Around 250 million players.
It's crazy when you see the number, right?
It's nuts, right?
It just seems unrealistic.
You think of how big that is, and it's important that the team that is making the game and the content that's in that game reflects that diverse audience, and that's something that this team has embraced wholeheartedly, and it's been great. It's been great to see, and letting our game and our team speak for us, and what we stand for. I've never been through that kind of experience before, especially making games, which I think a lot of people think of as kind of trivial entertainment, or at least they did when I first got started with it. And now it's an important part of people's lives.
No, I totally get that, and I can't say I've never seen a happier workforce besides mine, obviously. No, everybody's been super happy.
Feel free to speak candidly if you don't agree.
But it generally has felt that way being here, because that's exactly why I asked to do this. I watched the latest couple of interviews. The Dragonflight announcement I really disliked because it was very glossy and shiny. I was like, this isn't gamers. It's not us. Who are you talking to? And then you get here and it's like, this is the reality. Chilling out, shouting, playing volleyball, and doing all those kind of things. And I think you should be proud of what you've done, because unless you're all like it's a North Korea thing going on out there, everyone seems pretty happy.
Yeah. They're a great team, and as Holly said, in terms of feedback, I don't know that I quite finished my point. I think that the team itself realized the importance of giving feedback. We most of us play the game. We experience a lot of the same things that our players experience. And I think us accumulating that, comparing to what the community is saying, comparing to what players are saying, comparing our own experiences, and being able to question that, it's been very liberating for us. There's still so much more we want to do in the game. We can't. It's a huge game, but we can't help but look at every nook and cranny and say, oh, I want to change that, and we keep a long list of stuff that we want to add or we want to change in the game.
Well, I imagine the amount of ideas you guys have to say no to, because this is where your guys' specialty is resource management, right? Essentially, so you went and found the Spellbreak team, I believe, and then how are you guys deciding, because I think this falls more into your forecourt, what is and is not happening? Because that your specialties are managing how long it's actually going to take, how much it's going to cost to make certain features for games, and certainly with World of Warcraft, which is trying to serve an endless array of different people who all do different things, right? So what are the challenges and difficulties because the community guesses, why haven't you updated this? Why haven't you done this? Why have you spent so much time doing this? They could have made another raid and stuff. So take us, I see. How does that process work for you guys?
This team, I've been in the industry for a minute. There's something indescribable about what WoW quality is, and it takes people who are skilled in it to be able to really share that knowledge. And the talented people that we have from Proletariat and Spellbreak, they're already making stuff, but it takes, to understand what Blizzard quality is, takes a bit of time. And I come from an environment where I'm still learning. It's a really magical process that we respect, and we take that into consideration. But we're also, we're a studio. We have production plans, and we all share in the ideas. We all share them together, even on our team, across our team. It's really hard to describe. When you say people look happy. Yeah. The passion here runs deep, and as long as they've been gamers, they're here because they love WoW. And the passion thread that runs through all that and weaves into what we decide to do, it's a collaborative effort, and we take risks sometimes, dragon riding was one of those. It was, and
it's fantastic.
Right. Those are those magical things that you can't predict, what's really going to take hold with the community, and that's sort of part of the process we have to take care with. Making WoW is not a treadmill. It's not the recipe changes every single time we do it. So our job is to just make sure, just help them. Our job really is to just give them everything they need to make the magic they want to make. and give it some guardrails just to support them.
Yeah.
But it is a mammoth effort.
Yeah, I mean, our process, is we try to, fully support the creatives in their vision for what the game can be and should be. You're talking about Dragon Isles. Well, first off, just even deciding where to go to the Dragon Isles. A lot of blue sky. We could go here. We could go there. We could, promote these characters or those, and kind of narrowing down. After a number of weeks, okay, this is really feeling like it will gel. And we've always kind of wanted to go to Dragon Isles. We thought, oh, that's high fantasy. That'll be great to, return to that. And who wouldn't want to be a dragon? And it's funny because you'll see those notes show up, in forums and in player posts where it's like, you could do a dragon race, blah, 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 blah. and
High elves. It's very important.
But there's high elves out there too. But we kind of came this whole laundry list of things that we'd like to see, as a team. And then I remember the process we went through is, okay, everybody gets like 5 votes. And vote for the thing you want. You can put 5 votes on one thing if you really want to make it happen.
Oh, that's an interesting process.
Yeah.
How many people involved in that? So,
it gets vast.
It was all the dev leads, and then it was influenced by the greater team.
So it's almost like a bingo thing then.
But it wasn't just a highest votes win. That was information that Ian and the design team was taking as, okay, well, if this is what our own team thinks would be cool, how does that jive with what we're seeing, from community? So we try to be careful. We will run surveys, but we don't want to telegraph too much and kind of spoil, what we're up to. But then that eventually bubbled into, here's features we want to do. And we try our darndest to okay, how can we make this happen? How can we put enough resources behind it? How can we have the right people doing things at the right time to get as much into the expansion as possible? And that was, going back to the first part of your comment was, this is why, I said, we should get another team. We should expand. We've got to serve our community. I mean, every time we give them more things to do, they eat it up. They love it. They appreciate it, and the only thing that we were kind of bounded by was the limitation of how many people could make a WoW. How many people did we have working on a WoW? And so we had to kind of mentally take the leap and say, okay, we're going to expand. But we want to make sure it's the right partner. We want, someone that, understands how precious this universe is, understands, what makes fantasy so special, bringing magic into everybody's lives, allowing them to have these powers that, during their day-to-day lives they don't have, but when they walk into Azeroth they can, and they wield it, as commonplace as, driving a car or typing. We're casting fireballs.
Yes.
And I think that, Proletariat was a great partner. We went through a long process of talking about this and what do they really want, and I think they love the idea of being able to work with us on content and building, a team in Boston, which we think is cool. Now we got, Azeroth development coast to coast.
Oh, that's good. That's fine, because it seems that everybody's told me they just meshed in so well. It's like they would already been at Blizzard.
They're so talented. It's going well.
Okay, it was more for John, but in 2007, you wrote the book on this with Jeannie.
Oh, no.
No, but I am curious, over that period of time, what has changed in the process, or has it maintained pretty much the same?
Yeah, it's interesting. The book you're referring to it was originally, I wanted to write a producer's handbook, and to kind of tell you soup to nuts how are games built, who are all the various personalities that you work with, because it's so cool, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get to work with the confluence of technology and entertainment, artists, designers, engineers, sound people.
That make fun this is real, right?
And then nowadays, analysts and IT people, and I mean, it's huge. I mean, my first game, it was me and one other person. Now it's a cast of hundreds, and in WoW's case, throughout the company, thousands. And it's pretty amazing, all this coming together. And so I wanted to help, students. I was teaching at USC, and I wanted to help students that were studying game design. Okay, how could I aspire to be a producer or a designer or whatever? And then the publisher decided, oh, you know what? Let's call project management, because that's the
title is not good.
That's gonna help sell it. And I'm like, well, okay, whatever you think. But it really was designed as a handbook on it, because I wanted to sort of give back to the industry that gave to me. Write down those things that I had learned, as he said, 2007, and
Yeah, do you cringe a bit now? Like,
oh yeah, I mean, I look at stuff I wrote there, like, well, that was rather misinformed. That didn't work out.
That did
well.
not age well at all.
Yeah, it's like if I could have done this as a web page, I could have gone back and edited all that. But I think it was fun to write. I think it was fun to put those thoughts together. I'd love to be able to rewrite it for today. I think so much has changed in what we do, especially social gaming.
Yep.
And how much thought you need to put into the communities you're creating, and creating healthy communities, hopefully friendly ones. And it's you can't put a set of rules out there and expect a player base to follow them.
The social contract was a bold move because everyone just went, oh no.
Oh no.
But the gameplay can.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
If gameplay, and some games, I love playing Doom too. I might have played with your mom. Who knows? In some games are inherently PvP, and it is about
there's a competitive side.
Take someone down. But I think in WoW's case, we wanted to have that diversity of activities that you have. So if you want to go in and show your prowess in PvP, you can do it. But if you want to play with other people, and I love raiding, the choreography of healer, tank, and DPS, and how that all comes together, and how you laugh when you get it all wrong, and you wipe. Or how in the very last minute, all that's left standing is the tank and the hunter's pet, and you manage to, take it down.
Casting the race to world first so many times has definitely given me those moments. But where are we in 10 years as we wrap up here? Where is Warcraft in 10 years? Because you guys are the ones pointing the direction.
For me, I can't. There's no limits, and I can't answer that specifically, but I want us to feel like we're living in Azeroth, and I don't know what that means, and the team doesn't know what that means yet, but I think that's the dream we're going to chase, and that's for all of us, you included.
Yeah, one step at a time, right?
Yeah,
You're leading somewhere.
yeah, I think technology can afford us a lot of opportunity. So we're dreaming big at this point. I'm excited. Can't answer it, but it's going to be better, or our goal is to be better everything we do. So future.
One thing that
mysterious.
Yeah. One thing that for the franchise, WoW is really our tentpole game. Hearthstone is an incredibly fun game, and it's adapted Azeroth for a trading card game, and it's super cool. And it's so faithful to it, and it's kind of introduced a whole other set of players out there to what Azeroth is. I think Arclight, which I'm playing way too much of right now.
I haven't touched it yet.
Oh yeah.
Are we happy?
Oh yeah.
We're very happy.
Oh yeah,
okay.
I love it. And I think that's going to introduce another set of people to what Warcraft is. But in terms of the big storytelling today, a lot of that comes from WoW. That's where we have introduced new zones and new races and new characters.
Any TV shows in the future?
And I want to hold on. I want us to double down on the story of WoW and really invest in some of the characters and have long-term planning across multiple expansions. That's just so important. And so that's part of what I've been asking Holly and her team is, let's do these big arcs. Let's think beyond just an expansion, and tell me what you're going to do with this character and how they're going to, shift over time, and why am I going to love them, or why am I going to hate them, or why am I going to want to, be part of their team or not. So I think that's certainly, going to be a change. That
would be a
see.
wonderful change. It does feel very stop-start, right? It does, this arc is expansion long, and then some of them disappear. We don't see them again for a while.
And we're giving, the creative team more opportunities within the game to tell some of these stories too. You'll see that coming up, that we're making some changes in the way we're doing the content, that you'll get more of those story moments than we've necessarily been able to do in the past, because we didn't have as many people.
Dragonflight story is really good so far. I've read every quest, I've done everything, and I was like, this is good.
Well
this
done.
is good.
Good.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the long future, we're looking at what should WoW be in 5 and 10 years, both in, as you said, looking at technology and where is that going, and trying to predict. I don't think we'll ever require you to have, an extremely expensive piece of hardware that only, 1% of the populace can enjoy in order to play WoW. Well, we will take advantage of it if you've got it.
That would be nice.
It won't be minimum stakes, but I think that between where technology is going, where we want to go with storytelling, And I think in general, where social gaming is going, those are all things that we want to incorporate back into WoW. WoW, when it first came out, I mean, Facebook was only at Harvard. It hadn't yet hit the rest of the world. And for a lot of people, social interaction through the chat of WoW and logging in on WoW was one of their first experiences in being around a bunch of other people and exchanging ideas. Even though the premise is we're playing this game together, but we're also having meaningful discourse. And I think that, we want to see that we're doing the same thing, 5 and 10 years from now that we did back then. That we are understanding how, most of the gamers that are playing today grew up, just taking all of that for granted and that social interaction for granted. And so how does WoW need to evolve to stay, pace of that?
No, I look forward to it. I really do. And it's nice to hear that you're planning that much further ahead, because it was one thing Ian said is like we planned kind of modular. There'd be elements like Warfronts and Island Expeditions, but they're never planned to continue. It's like, it's such a shame, because in some iteration, these things could be magical and evergreen, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Is a big element of a lot of MMO companies right now, especially past the decade mark. It's like, we've made millions of dollars and millions of man hours of stuff. Nobody's touching it because it's not relevant anymore, but it could be. And so now saying there's going to be big story arcs as well, or that's going to be the focus. That's fantastic. I would love to see what the social stuff is going to be, because that's what I miss.
Yeah.
I never call people by their class or anything. It's not how I was raised, Like, I was raised with manners on Warcraft 2004. Not these young Zoomers who are just like, yeah, do your job. But you've been wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you.
Thanks so much for coming out here and spending time with us.
Yeah, it's literally... I mean, I've done several interviews with the guys, and always very honest and fair. We were at Loggerheads, and like I said, and a lot of things. But when I saw the recent ones and the Dragonflight, I was like, this isn't them. Because when you go to BlizzCon and you can talk to you guys in a more natural environment, different people than what comes across in the very overly produced stuff and that kind of thing. I was like, that's not them. Like, let's just ask the question. Especially because seemingly when I stopped making regular content, I mean, you guys. Not directly, but World of Warcraft gave me a career. I've traveled the world with my children because of World of Warcraft. And to leave that behind was devastating. Like, to the point where I could not play this game anymore. That's where I was at. I can't even fathom logging into play anymore. We met in 15 years ago when you were in Molten Core.
Wow.
He was just a raider in Molten Core, in my Molten Core guild. And we disconnected for a decade. And then, because I was streaming and stuff, he was like, "Oh, Mike." Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, now he works for me, and we're all doing very well. So I owe all that to. So it's like leaving it behind was devastating. And then I see Dragonflight's coming out, and I kind of got the message. We kind of changed everything that you were moaning about. Come have a look. I was like, okay. And then I came in. I was skeptical. I was a pessimist. I was like, it's here somewhere. There's Azerite power under this table. I know there is. It's lurking, and it's like, no, it's not there. So that's when I watched the last interview with Ian and Max. I was like, this ain't right. Let's send a message. Can we come? Can we do something that's casual, relaxed, a conversation? Instead of like, here's 20 questions. Go. Right, I'm going.
Yep.
I field all requests.
So thank you.
Oh, no, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Glad you returned.
Yeah, thanks for not giving up on us.
Yeah.
How can I? I agree with you guys. Right? The same. This is why we're here.